Well, I have a cat here, and they'll probably pay attention more to my cat than they will you in this intro.
Absolutely. Welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. My name's Jacob, and we are joined here today by Robert from CloakingArbiter Figurine and Toy Reviews. You can see he's petting his cat over there. And
Leona.
Welcome, Robert.
Thank you.
What we are doing today is hopefully the first of a series, which will be the AVR podcast, where we talk to various YouTubers and other Godzilla fans from across the globe and basically get to know them and their experiences growing up as Godzilla fans and all that sort of jazz. So, yeah, welcome, Robert. Very happy to have you on as our very first victim. How do you feel?
You beat me to the punchline.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and a joy to be the first contestant on this. The Price is Right. Allow me to introduce myself, ladies and gentlemen. I am Robert. I do the YouTube channel CloakingArbiter Figurine Toy Reviews. I'm fairly new to the YouTube game, so it started with having a lot of time on my hands, having a bunch of figurines, as you can kind of see here, and just a passion for Godzilla. I'm located here in the wonderful state of Ohio here in the USA, so that gives you an idea of the location we're at for the vast spread of us kaiju fans alike. To get into how I loved Godzilla, if we want to kick it off right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have to say it started with Jurassic Park. Growing up, I was a huge fan of dinosaurs. I loved dinosaurs. To this day, I can name almost every dinosaur I look at.
Can you still name them to this day?
Ichthyorhynchus, I think, is one, if I'm not butchering that too badly.
There's even a Gojirosaurus these days, actually.
Well, I do have the Godzillasaurus right here.
Oh, I know, but I mean like an actual dinosaur. Some kaiju fan paleontologist named one. Gojirosaurus.
Ichthyosaurus is a real one. You got obviously Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Ankylosaurus. Compsognathus, Pteranodon.
Spinosaurus was big in the news recently as well.
Hey, Spinosaurus aegypticus.
That's right. My bad.
Oh, Lord of mercy. I know people are not a huge fan of that film. Not to get slightly off topic.
Yeah, let's not go down every little side corridor. By the way, guys, me and Robert here have spent many hours already speaking on these sort of video calls just to prep for this, and yeah, we can get sidetracked, so we're just trying to restrain ourselves here.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Lord of mercy.
I think
the funny thing is, you've already heard this origin story before, so
yeah. But this is for the hopefully millions of fans which will tune in to our modest YouTube channels.
And not dip out of the first 5 minutes when they're like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
But to get back on point, loving dinosaurs, obviously love Jurassic Park.
Me too. I think most Godzilla fans, from what I found, just talking to people, that's like 90% of the case where it comes to being a Godzilla fan. It always seems to start off with being that kid who just is obsessed with dinosaurs.
Well, I'm not going to lie about the year I was born. I was born in 94.
Yeah.
So, and I'm 25 now. I'll be 26 come close to the end of this year here. So, my earliest remembrances for the title Godzilla obviously stems to the 98 film. Like, I do remember being 4 years old and remembering the film. I still remember the advertisements for it. I still remember being 5 years old and seeing the toys still in Kmart's. Like, oh wow, they're still a thing anymore. Kmart's are gone here in my hometown.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're all gone here.
I just went to Kmart the other day to get some Playmates Godzilla figures. Because
Oh wow.
for anyone who doesn't know, I live in Australia, and I was born in '96, so pretty close in age. I'm a little bit younger. Yeah, here in Australia, we have never had Godzilla figures in like stores like Target, Kmart, or whatever. So it's like a whole new thing. So I've been going crazy for these Playmates figures, even though they're pretty crap. But
Well,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. I do like the Kong they put out. I've done a
Kong is
review
really
on
good,
them.
actually.
I've actually bought him twice. One's for me and a friend of mine, and the same friend of mine I bought the Kong for gave me the Gigan for Final Wars.
That's the
So
one that I'm missing. I'm still trying to get
he's
my
all
hands on that
right,
one.
but the one that I have has like this divot bump in the side of his head that's just, it's awkward. So the way I got him
Oh
turned,
dear.
it nicely covers it up. But Lord of mercy, I'm not a huge avid fan of that look. But
Yeah.
past that, I mean, it's nice to have him. He actually replaced it with the Bandai vinyl one.
Okay.
But
speaking of like
anyway,
figures, I wanted to ask, what made you decide to do like a figure review channel like on YouTube?
now we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
A little
We
bit.
first got to go with our origin story.
Okay, we can continue with that, but
Yeah,
we like already started to get ahead of ourselves, I found. So.
slightly. I just want to catch up on what got me started into Godzilla, and then we'll
Yeah, keep going,
definitely
keep going. So
Lord of Mercy,
Jurassic
because
Park and
yeah, but it really started with Goodwill.
oh really? Goodwill.
Goodwill, yeah. I was raised by my grandparents, and when I was roughly around the age of, I would have to say, maybe 11, 10 years old, she brought home for me. Now, mind you, I grew up watching on VHS the 1933 King Kong. So I've already was
Phenomenal
introduced.
film.
Yeah, I love the 1933 King Kong. He holds a very special place in my heart. Old Kong Boy does. But with that being said, my grandmother brought home from Goodwill the Raymond Burr 1955, technically was the year it was released,
Yeah.
King of the Monsters, which I watched. It was a black and white one. I fell in love with it. And lo and behold, the next film I get after that on VHS, Godzilla versus King Kong.
Lovely.
Yep. Then it was Godzilla versus Destroyer. In that order. It was all VHS from Goodwill. It was where I scored those from. And then there was a video store I remember going to, and my grandmother allowed me to get Godzilla's Revenge.
Oh, wow.
Duped by the title.
Yeah.
And Godzilla 2000, so there is some redeeming quality.
But you got an interesting mix of films from various eras, which is pretty cool.
So. Yeah, Showa, Heisei, Millennium.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I did have, eventually, it wasn't long after I got Godzilla 2000, I got my hands on the 98 film as well.
Yeah.
And just for the record, for everyone listening, I'm not going to show it, but I actually do own, and I completed it yesterday, it actually came in, was the Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, but now I have every Showa, Heisei, and Millennium film on my shelf now individually on DVD, except for my Heisei era. Yes, I'm very happy. That's finally completed. I mean, I have the last three films, like Shin, 2014, and King of the Monsters, and Kong Skull Island, all on digital. Eventually, I'll probably add to the shelf. But yeah, it's finally nice to have that. That being said, I also have everything Star Wars on available as well.
Yeah, we have talked a lot about your Star Wars collection on here.
Oh my lord, yes, it's I literally have everything from episodes 1 to 9.
9.
Anything that's more or less from Disney, I'm not entirely happy with.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We could do a whole different episode on that alone. I think
I'm just gonna poke a jab at that and leave that bear in its grave, essentially, or whatever. But
oh, nice touch with the mug there, mate.
What a piece of boba. But with that being said, I was introduced to Godzilla from an early age, and it wasn't until I was about 16 years old and I met a good friend of mine by the name of Mike, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
He's the one who introduced me to the idea of actually figurine collecting. Now, mind you, prior to this point, if you guys have ever, if any of the viewers go check out my channel and seen some of that behind the scenes stuff.
I do recommend you go check out his channel. It will be linked down below.
I do have Halo figurines, and honestly starting out buying figurines, I owned this Halo, it's up above my head here, the Halo Reach Legendary figurine stand that's got Noble Team, and one thing I can do maybe is if I loosen it up.
Yeah, you can kind of point up to it.
And there it is, the Halo stuff.
I will add that his channel is a lot less blurry than this. We are just doing this via messenger call, so his like, I don't know what the quality is going to turn out for this video. Again, this is the first time trying this on either of our ends, so you're going to have to bear with us here, but hopefully we can figure out how to get this going in future episodes and stuff like that.
And try to make it obviously a lot clearer, but yeah, if you go to my channel, I do behind-the-scenes stuff. You can see more of those in view. But it started out with that, and I had a few of the McFarlane figurines. The McFarlane.
We can censor that in post.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the extras. I'm trying to tighten this with one hand while I'm drinking at the same time. Like, this is what they call talent.
Yeah, this is multitasking right here.
No biz like showbiz, as I say.
Yeah.
There we go. But I started getting McFarlane Halo figurines from like GameStop and stuff like that, and then I met my buddy Mike around 16 at the launch night of Halo 4 here in my hometown here in GameStop, and we actually talked about Walking Dead amongst all things. Which was great. That's when Walking Dead was a big thing back then. Lord of mercy, wow, it's come so far.
I've always been one of those people who've tried to avoid everything popular, like a bloody hipster. So to this day,
no, I enjoy Game of Thrones. I enjoy Walking Dead. Oh my lord!
Yeah, I'm one of the two people on this planet who haven't watched those shows.
I do enjoy them for what they're worth, and it was a nice zombie hype craze, and
yeah, it really was. There was some fun stuff around that time.
It was. But I met him, and he collected Godzilla figurines, and this is in 2014. Also, right around that time.
A big year for the Godzilla fandom. That was.
Yeah, I was so happy about that. And once I got my hands on my very first NECA 2014 Godzilla, which ironically he actually owns now because I actually traded him that figurine for my my Alien from Sega Genesis with the blue and the brown on it. Like I said, behind the scenes, you can go check that out. It's chilling there. So I traded him 4 figurines to get that one, and then I took a break, ran into some rough patches into my life, lost a couple things, but was able to save majority of my collection as far as my figurines are concerned as a whole. I did lose 2 valuable pieces, but they were from my AVP collection.
Oh yeah.
I had the that foot-tall Real Toys NECA Alien from Aliens, the first film, Alien.
Oh yeah.
It had like a white dome, and I had what was called Grayback. For those of you who may know what it is, it's the elder predator that throws Danny Glover the pistol in Predator 2, and it actually had 1715 written there on the handle. It was beautiful, and it had a sheath that its sword went into, a piercing in its tusk. But the damn thing was gorgeous.
I bet.
But it was 18 inches tall. Both of the characters. Oh my lord, they were exquisite.
I had one of those big NECA aliens as well, but that ended up having to go just because of societal pressures and money and stuff. But yeah,
absolutely, but it happens.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I finally now reached a point in my life where I'm a lot more stable and comfortable, and also having a lot more time. And I got back into Godzilla figurine collecting, and I just went ham. That's what happened.
I find that's really common with Godzilla figurines, more so than most franchises. Maybe I'm wrong, to being biased on this side, but there's something about those characters that just works so well in figure form. It's really appealing to have that sort of physicality of it.
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree with you on that. To have the figurines and the journey of finding these figurines is the fun.
Yeah.
I mean, just being entirely honest, for those who have seen my channel or do see it, I have some custom pieces. I have a gentleman here down in Texas. His name is David. You can go check him out. I got links for him on my channel below, who, if you go see my custom figurines for Anguirus and Godzilla from 1955 raids again, he did there was a Toy Dreams and Bandai did a set together. And the Godzilla was this white with blue spines, and Anguirus was this half with the leg, back portion being brown, golden spines, red face. I didn't like the coloring at all. I wanted black and white. David offered and did a wonderful, we negotiated price points, and he did this wonderful, wonderful custom figurine set of mine. And with that also being said, I've had the opportunity of getting my hands on another custom piece, the Jungle Lord figurine done by Nine Modelism and the very talented Tom Tisk. You can go check out my channel and see my reviews on him. A beautiful figurine for the Kong Skull Island. He did, the problem was, there was no figurines done at all for that version of Kong.
Which was really annoying for all of us, I'd say.
Very. I mean, don't get me wrong, they put out the the Playmates. And
yeah, but that's not really gonna, I've got mine right here as well. Yeah, there we go. Which, actually, for a Playmates figure, surprisingly decent, especially the face sculpt.
Very. The face sculpt I love, but guess what I also got? The Raimundo Kong.
Yeah.
He was difficult to get a hold of. A gentleman, and actually in Japan, went on the Japanese market and actually picked him up for me personally. I didn't really know the guy. He just offered to do it, and he also is the one who sent me the. I can't remember his name. It was, like I said, I get a lot of my figures off of eBay.
I think most of us do. It's the best way to go these days.
Oh my lord! I've been doing it since 2013, and to this day, I'm probably going to jinx myself for saying this, but I've yet to have a negative review on my eBay account as a buyer. Because I try my best to be, straightforward, and I probably should leave feedback on people's accounts, but the way I look at it is no feedback is best feedback.
Oh,
if I'm not leaving if I'm not leaving a review, be glad it's not a negative one. I mean, to be entirely honest, some of these sellers, who want me to leave reviews, and I'm not going to say, all of them are like that for those who I don't get back to. It's just like, you do realize that sometimes as far as the response time and then the questions I have, and when you say like, oh, I want to ship the thing in a couple days, I'm like, a couple days? I purchased it now. You have the quote-unquote thing ready for me as far as the tracking number. And this has happened to me. Like, they said, oh, I got the tracking number right here, and I'll ship in a couple days. Why are you giving me the tracking number then?
That is bizarre, though, but I think it has something to do with, they buy, ready-made things of tracking numbers, and then they, I don't know. I haven't sold on eBay in a while since they raised their fees, so it's been a bit...
Well, I've never sold anything at all on the internet, so I can't really sit here, poke fun, judge, or make fun of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's led to a huge obsession, but for me personally, for my figurine collection, I've definitely enjoyed finding some of these custom pieces and getting these custom pieces done just as much as getting my hands on an SH figurine.
Yeah.
I currently own 3. I have a Destroyer, and I have and I can slightly turn this. And
hopefully we'll see it again. Very blurry, but that's just the nature of the beast here. You got very detailed videos on your channel with all of these things.
Oh yeah, this is just rough, but like I said, this is just mainly all, again, for an audio experience. For those who want to watch this, hey, there you go. You get the wonderful opportunity of getting to watch it, and yeah. So for those who actually want to just listen to it, that's kind of what the whole intended purpose was.
I also wanted to kind of touch on something. When you first started watching these Godzilla movies, and already being, of course, a dinosaur fan and stuff like that, I'm kind of curious, what drew you to the character and to the universe? Because personally, for me, whenever somebody asks me what specifically is it about Godzilla that I like, because I'm everyone who's seen my channel knows I'm completely obsessed. I really don't know how to put it into words. So I'm curious what other people out there kind of would say.
Well, as far as being a Godzilla fan goes, there is a lot of value being introduced young and being drawn to
Yeah,
it
that's
young. You know,
very true.
trying to do this stuff as an adult, trying to introduce people to it, it's like you want to watch this guy do a kangaroo kick on another guy in a suit, you know? And I mean,
Just thinking that makes me so happy.
bum, 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 bum,
Oh
bum,
gosh.
bum, 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 bum.
No, but I
Oh my
completely
god.
empathize with you there. I've tried so hard to introduce so many people to this franchise, and it just doesn't click
Well, so
90% of the
I've had
time.
I've had luck with the black and white film, obviously, you know,
Yeah,
King of the
that's
Monsters.
the one. That's the one that's sits apart from the rest. I think just because the very nature of that film is so heavy and has so much real world history behind it.
Well, besides that as well, I mean, you also got to keep in mind for the American cut was heavily edited down. I mean, you can't really introduce people to like unless they're like big anime fans. I find, you know, then they might want to sit down and watch a Japanese film with subtitles, you know.
Yeah.
But past that, you know, someone who is not, hi sweethearts,
Yes, a cat in the
no,
video that will get views.
yes, yes, this is my
Lovely.
sweetheart. For those of you curious and want to know about the kitty, this is Leona.
Hello,
I've had her,
Leona.
yeah, she's roughly, she's about going on 3 years old. I found her in an alleyway in my hometown here, and I raised her for about a year and a half. Then my next door neighbor ran a cat sanctuary, a former residence, and she made it a little bit difficult for me to want to get her back. But eventually she did, and we ended on wonderful terms.
Okay.
And
You
I now
literally
have her
live
back
next
in
to
my
a
life.
crazy cat lady by the sounds of it.
Well, I used no, she's not crazy cat. Like, she runs a cat
No?
Sanctuary,
That's what
and
they all say though.
well, to her credit, she and I actually had several conversations, and we touched bases on a good note. And there were several reasons why Leona was in her care. Unfortunately, when I moved to my current residence now, just money was a big tight thing, and trying to get everything paid up and paid off to try to get out of where I was, because it was just a hop, skip, jump, and on a leap of faith to try to pull this number off, and it worked. But it cost me 7 months of losing her, but I got her back, and
Yeah.
she hasn't left my side or stopped bugging me since or everything else. But she's my girl. She's my fur baby. She sometimes makes it in a video here and there on my channel. She pokes around. I
Oh, that's
sometimes
good.
show her.
Pets are really good
Oh,
to have around. I've got a
she,
couple of birds, and I always make it put in an effort to put them in my size comparisons in my videos. One of
you're
them at
splitting
least.
horribly, my dear.
You were touching on something that was actually, by the way, guys, I have a couple of dot points just because, first time doing this, I want to have something to go off of. And one of the things I wanted to ask people on this podcast is what the fandom is like in their area. And we're starting to kind of touch on just trying to introduce other people to these movies.
To go back on your first basis real fast before I got off basis, thanks to sweethearts here.
Yeah.
No, leave the source alone. Source is not to be played with. Not by you.
What if she just wants to be a Godzilla fan? She'd have her own YouTube channel.
She'd rather sit there and bat it around like it's a toy.
I'm sure some
she
people
wants
would
to
love
play
to
with
watch
it.
that, though.
I can pretty sure there is, but if you want to be the one to send me the toy to use as the battering ram, go for it. But my collection is not on that list.
Fair
I
enough.
love her to death.
Fair enough.
But for being a Godzilla fan, I really started with, like I said, Jurassic Park, and Godzilla to me was just a giant atomic dinosaur.
Exactly.
He was just this giant dinosaur that was alive, that destroyed mankind. And as a child, when I first got into it, I was very much aware and able to comprehend what this monster meant as far as a destructive standpoint.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that going in drew me to the character, and especially growing up, being around, I do remember being 13, 12 years old, watching Godzilla 2000, and remembering, watching the American cut, of course, and that whole end spiel about, Godzilla living inside of us all. He's like, why does he keep protecting us? And I remember as a child, it's like, wow, that's deep, for a kid anyway.
It kind of is in its own special way.
And then I watched, obviously, Godzilla's Revenge, and for me, I because I saw it first before Destroy All Monsters, and I forgot Godzilla vs. Megalon too on VHS growing up as well. Wake up, Megalon! Oh my God, Seatopia. But with that being said, like I said, you are correct. I had a vast, a little pool of Godzilla knowledge, but growing up, what helped me to expand that horizon was my hometown library. I went to there growing up, and I started watching a lot, and I repeat, a lot of the Godzilla films there. Godzilla vs. Mothra, the Son of Godzilla. Let's see here, what else ones that I was able to get my hands on? Godzilla vs. Gigan. Was another one that I remember watching. The Terror of Mechagodzilla, which is one of my favorite, but a lot of people's underrated kaiju, Titanosaurus. I love Titanosaurus.
Really?
Yeah, for just some reason that damn call of his, I just thought was really, really cool looking, or cool sounding.
I've always had mixed feelings about Titanosaurus. I don't know why.
I always felt sorry for the guy. He just got duped into fighting Godzilla, and Godzilla just beat the shit out of him.
I need to rewatch that film.
Well, we all really know that once Godzilla gets started in a fight, there ain't no way you're bitching out.
Yeah, exactly.
You are getting your ass handed to you. Straightforward, my friend. That's what's going to happen to Godzilla there. You just don't get to run away. It doesn't work. We all know how this works. Monster attacks, Godzilla, finish off. I hope you're happy with yourself, sweetheart. Wearing pajama bottoms, and her claws seem to be a wonderful thing to want to dig itself into my leg.
Oh, dear. What is your favorite of the Godzilla movies? Like, I already know, but, like, the audience need to know.
Absolutely. Thank you, sweethearts. My favorite Godzilla films growing up, obviously, the ones that we're exposed to, but if we're going to look at the franchise as a whole, now being able to just sum up the series, I guess, obviously, for some people, they might call this a cop-out answer. I'm sorry. King of the Monsters with Raymond Burr in 1954 will be my all-time #1 favorite Godzilla film.
So you like that cut better than the...
Well, that's because obviously I don't speak Japanese, and as a child I couldn't read that quickly. So
no, absolutely. I still struggle with
and
subtitles.
Those of you asking or curious about my DVD collection, it is all American cuts with English dub. I'm sorry, I'm not I have dyslexia, so trying to sit there and read stuff like that, sweethearts, leave that alone. Now this becomes a balancing act. But I'm just not a overall huge fan of trying to... That was the cat. I'm kidding, that bump there. She's very adamant right now. Come here. You are just driving me nuts. So you're safer on my lap and safer on the floor.
I completely understand what you mean about the subtitles and stuff like that. I just forced myself to get through it, and for whatever reason, the movies seem a little bit more profound when you got the Japanese actors actually speaking their lines. Like, I don't know how cheesy it would be if I could actually understand Japanese fully and hear it, but it just kind of always added a level of seriousness to it.
I'll tell you what, trying to watch the film, listening to the English dialogue, dub stuff, and reading the subtitles, it's not the same.
No.
That's very confusing as well. Oh my lord. I discovered that the hard way with Godzilla 2000 as a kid. I thought it would be wise to put the subtitles on, and I started doing that, and I was like, why doesn't it match? What what the hell?
Oh yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I've seen some movies that completely like don't match, and
But to be entirely honest, I will say that a lot of the dialogue that was in the subtitles seemed far superior than what I was hearing.
that's
It really
occasionally the
was.
case. Yeah.
That was
Like
actually kind of funny.
I can speak a fair amount of Polish, so occasionally when a movie has Polish in it, I think some of the last X-Men films had a bit with Magneto speaking Polish, and the subtitles didn't
Oh
match
yeah.
what they were saying. Is what I learned.
Whoa, well, that just goes for people, who pay attention and
Yeah.
know their shit. It's like, people who are, doctors, they see some medical stuff on TV and it drives them nuts.
Oh, I
Ow, that's my
bet.
foot.
Yeah.
With that, going said, my other Godzilla film that I absolutely love, um, and it's a hard divide. I mean, if we're gonna go with, say, like, heartbreaking, essentially Godzilla versus Destroyer would come after that, because
That's
I
one of
just
my top
love.
ones as well. It's
You're
a
driving me
very
nuts, cat.
just a surprisingly well-made movie, and just the atmosphere in that one with the music and the visuals, just the whoever came up with that like burning aesthetic and how they brought it to life, a freaking a genius. Because I always love that about that film.
The Burning Godzilla I absolutely loved, but as my friend Mike pointed out to me, looking back at it, yeah, it feels like he really is in pain.
Yeah,
Looking at that, he really is in pain. Boy. But Godzilla versus Destroyer was a very, very big one who really influenced me. Godzilla vs. Destroyer is a close second to it, because obviously I was exposed to it young, and oh my lord, I absolutely love that ending. That was just so good.
yeah. That's one of the few films that has a very definitive ending, which is something that really stays with you as well.
Oh, extremely definitive. I was completely, and I hear the clawing away right now.
Yeah. Oh, poor kitty.
You had your chance. You should have behaved. You
Uh,
were replaced on set.
it
Director's call.
it took them like decades for them to have another film where Godzilla actually died.
Well, you, not really decades. You look at the American cut '98. That version Zilla, and that's what I prefer to call him,
Yeah,
died.
but
Um,
that would
I
happen
mean,
just after that film. Anyway, I'm talking about like Toho. They had him killed off in the very first film, and then it was just like he he was never
well,
definitively killed off after that until versus
that,
Destroyer.
with that being said, kind of, because you got to think, what people point out, Junior taking the atomic radiation and rising up,
Yeah, even
absorbing
then
all the
the
radiation. So it's like there's still a Godzilla, and people took that as, there were going to be more. But of course, and I've done my homework quite a bit in the history of Godzilla. I've done more than just enjoy the films. I had to know everything. So when they were doing it's kind of a brief summary here. When they were doing the Heisei era films, they were coming to a close. The Godzilla franchise. It was well already known the fact by '95 that they were going to be turning over the American franchise films, or the Americans were going to have their crack
yeah,
at the '98 film.
and that went down
So,
like a lead balloon.
oh my God, it was horrible. It was. Don't get me wrong. As a kaiju-based film, it's okay. I
No, I really
enjoyed.
like that movie. I have no bitterness towards it because it was like before my time. And to me, I already knew what Godzilla was. So when I saw it, I'm just like, I never saw it as Godzilla, so I like never got bitter about it, if that makes sense. But I know some people are like genuinely upset to this day about it. But for me, it's always been like, yeah, that's not Godzilla. You can't fool me. And I just kind of laugh it off. But I love it as just its own movie. It's very of the time, if that makes sense. It's got that very sort of,
Well, in '98,
yeah.
you have to realize that the guy who did the Godzilla film, uh, my roommate decided to have some fun. She just walked in and walked out, Bugs Bunny style here. Lord of mercy.
She had the sound effect. Boing.
No, it was very quiet, but
Oh.
tiptoed the number. It
Tiptoed.
was great. Oh my lord, I couldn't stop laughing. Inside anyway, I did would have just tried to keep a straight face the best I could, but anyway, could you go back to what you were saying? I was distracted by Bugs Bunny. That's all, folks.
So that's all. So Roland Emmerich, the Roland Emmerich, do you know
Okay,
the
yeah.
film 98? I was saying it's very of its time.
Well, besides of its time, like last I heard, he really wasn't even a huge Godzilla fan when he
No,
went
that's
into
what
it.
pissed me off. Like, why the hell did they? Because Toho really wanted him to do it based off of.
Well, I heard that Toho when they were when they first, from what I have found out, that when Toho was introduced to this first concept of Zilla, they were so overwhelmed with what they were looking at, but so far in production with it, they were just like, I guess, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go with it. Fuck it. Try.
I like the 98 design. Again, just as a monster design.
As a monster design, it is cool. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually do own on my shelf. Now, just a quick summary here. My shelf, I actually have, and I was able to get my hands on a copy of the Raymond Burr cut of the 1985 Godzilla film. There was a website I found that a guy was selling, and he recorded it off a cable, but it was in HD, and it was so fucking beautiful. Forgive my French for some of you guys.
No, you're welcome. You're fucking welcome to swear on this channel, mate.
Well, putting it that way, the guy did a hell of a job with it. For those of you who may own the Cracking Releases 1984 DVD copy of the Return of Godzilla, this guy who did this copy that I got with the Raymond Burger cut of it, which was for America, its sound is better than that version on DVD. No shit.
Nice.
And at times, it even rivals it in pixel quality. I shit you not. It is fucking awesome. I was like, holy hell. And the guy even took the time to put a DVD menu in it with the main Godzilla theme. Like, the damn Kraken Releases is like, don't get me wrong, it's okay, but it's the damn piano little title that they have for the film. For his version, it's Godzilla's main amp theme for 84, and it's even great.
Yeah.
So I actually have both of those cuts on my shelf, and I also have the animated series for 1998.
1998.
Yeah. Getting confused here with
There's so many. The thing with Godzilla is like you got to remember so many years. It just gets really ludicrous at some point.
Well, that is very ludicrous about it, but that's only if you want to go that far with it. I've kind of pushed myself to want to know that.
Oh,
so
me
that's
too.
why, I'll sit here and try to trip over dates. But I have the 1998 cartoon for Zilla, which I actually do love. For me, that does a lot more justice to the character's design being called Godzilla.
Yeah.
And with the menagerie of monsters he fights, that show really is awesome. I do enjoy that cartoon.
I need to get my hands on it because, like you said, I've heard only good things about it, so I'm curious.
Well, that's also one of the things I watched as a child growing up, so I did enjoy that cartoon very, very heavily. But for me growing up, I only had the DVD Monster War 3-episode parts. It wasn't until I hit about 16 and a Kmart, which no longer exists in my hometown, they actually were selling the complete series for $10 and this is the only series that's released on DVD. That you can get if it's official, but it's the complete series with 2 bonus episodes that were unaired. So for those of you who are looking for the series, that's the official series. So if you look at it and it says there's 2 bonus episodes unaired, you found the right one. That's the official thing that was released on DVD. Never released on Blu-ray. That being said, for like my Star Wars cuts, I have the volumes 1 and 2 micro mini series that was released on Cartoon Network. Those were only released on DVD. I own those. I also own the Ewok Adventures. That was the live action. I don't own the cartoon because the ones that were released on DVD, both for the Cartoon Droids and Ewok Adventures, they never released it as a full series. There's actually episodes missing in both those series.
Yeah.
So I refuse to own those. And I'm not a big fan of the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. I never grew up watching it. I have respect for it. So, I'm going to go on a quick tangent here.
Okay.
Godzilla is so diversified. So, and hate's a strong word, and I really I'm not a big fan of sitting here saying that, oh, this Godzilla is better than the other. Look at what we have. We have the Showa, the Heisei, the Millennium, and now, this newer Godzilla.
Yeah.
There's over, 34 some films in this franchise, 3 different series. If you want to argue that the Netflix special cartoon,
the anime,
a movie, if you want to call it a show, or if you want to call it a movie, I'm not a fan of that per se. So don't hate me too much. I just really wasn't a big fan of it. But with that being said, again, I wasn't a fan of the Hanna-Barbera. So there you go. Don't I hope no one harps on me too much.
Hey, dude, I don't really like the 2014 film. Do you know how people get triggered over that? No, but that's what I love about the franchise is that there is so much. There's so much material in it, and it's so diverse. There's something for everyone in it. Is what I think.
Yes,
it's so tonally, completely can go from 54 to versus Megalon. You got cartoons, comics, and so much out there.
Well, let's touch bases on another thing. Even if you become a fan, luckily, of being an adult into this Godzilla franchise, there's more on Toho's roster that you can explore than just Godzilla.
Oh, absolutely.
Got Ultraman on there. I mean, you can try to go a little deeper, look for their hidden gems. Frankenstein versus Frankenstein Conquers the World, as the American dub cut was called.
Yeah.
Where he fought Baragon. I do believe that was Baragon's first appearance.
Anything directed by Ishiro Honda is usually pretty damn decent.
Well, the other big problem is a lot of people can't name the 2 main people contributing to Godzilla. Ishiro Honda, was it a Kurosawa who did the suit work, if I'm not mistaken that?
Well, there's a Tomoyuki Tanaka who was the producer who came up with him, and then there's Eiji Tsuburaya who did the effects.
There you go. I'm terrible with names.
Kurosawa is the guy who did the Seven Samurai and all those fantastic films.
Yes. Which, surprisingly, that contributes into Star Wars, not to get too entirely off topic, but Lucas loved
definitely.
Lucas loved that as well. For those of you listening and you're Star Wars fans, just make a quick note. You need to go check out the documentary Star Wars Empire Dreams. I highly recommend you go check that out. And there's another one that here recently you just watched as well.
The King Kong one.
What's it called?
The RKO Pictures something. I don't remember.
You have to go on YouTube and find it. It's 2-3 hours almost, something like that. There's a lot in there, but what do you think of that for the evolution? Really, I mean, I know some people can argue with me on this statement, but for me, Kong is a definitive start of a kaiju genre. In my opinion, that's how I honestly feel about when I think of monster films and kaiju films. Kong, for me, really is the one that set that bar.
I think you're pretty spot on there. Yeah.
Film, and just for the record, just so we know, all alert, I'm quite well aware and have full confidence that Kong will get his ass handed to him in this new film. I may love the big ape, but I know the big ape plays. Oh, I know so.
It's hard to tell because they set up both kaiju as the good guy. Both of them, it'll be weird.
Go there kind of, but you know what? I'm just going to say this. One of the key factors that I am well aware of when it comes to Americans doing Godzilla films is the character of Godzilla cannot diminish in any way. If I am correct, that is what's in the contract. If all my information serves me well. So
maybe you're right.
With that being said, Kong beating Godzilla would in somehow and or fact diminish his character's status from being king of the monsters.
But even Toho kind of implied that in the original film. Like, it was a pseudo draw, but like...
Okay. The only reason that fight turned out the way it did is because when they were borrowing the character Kong, being an American franchise monster, and having, like, you know, the history and reputation with the stop motion photography or the stop motion animation that it did for the franchise, you know, and really setting the bar for, you know, special effects in its time, you know, again, it's another film that was on its own by itself. You know, Japan was trying to keep respect to its American origins, so they had no problem. It's basically what we have today. They wanted to make sure that Kong's status didn't diminish because they were using American product back in 1962, and now because Godzilla has way gone beyond Kong as far as a franchise film is concerned. You know, I mean, Kong still holds its legendary status in film history. There's no argument about it. But Godzilla has a franchise that extended beyond Kong.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to argue or deny that. As fans now today look at it, you know, as it's kind of funny that Toho now sees that most fans are like, you know, no. Godzilla was winning that fight. Lightning bullshit, what the hell? And what's even worse about it is for those who even know the history of Godzilla a bit more, with Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, they were supposed to have Kong in that role.
That's true, yeah. That's why Godzilla was so, strange.
Woken up by lightning. Yeah, he was woken up by lightning.
Yes. Which relates back, I think, even from Kong, originally was meant to be Frankenstein in the versus Kong film or something like that.
Yeah, in Frankenstein versus the World, it was all,
it's such a weird intermingling of, like, characters being thrown in and out of different films.
If my sources, if my history serves me correct, Toho had rights to do 3 films, and they only did 2, which was King Kong versus Godzilla and Godzilla Escapes. I believe they wanted to do another...
But yeah.
Yeah, which, by the way, for those of you wondering, it has nothing to do with King Kong versus Godzilla. It is completely its own separate film, but surprisingly enough, it introduces Gorosaurus, which is in, you know, Destroy All Monsters. So, that being said, which I think is really funny, they actually reused the suit, I think, several times for, like, an Ultraman, and it's like King Ape, but the suit was very deteriorated.
Yeah,
so
that's because, like, Subaraya Productions worked on Ultraman, so... to keep costs down, they just chucked in every suit that they could and slightly modified it. Well, they even got a G-Ras with the, like, frilled Godzilla in it.
Yeah, for Ultraman. Well, you know, look at the famous joke that's in, like, Destroy All Monsters with Varan, Amanda, and who else? I think Mogamondoa just hanging the fuck back. You know, they're just chilling back there, just like, hey, guys.
No, Varan was literally in there for, like, 2 frames. He's gone.
Well, he was flying, but you know, like, and then, like, the posters and shit for Varan, which, by the way, they were going to have him in it, but the suit was so heavily deteriorated they couldn't. But the miniature puppet prop used for him flying was great, so they used the excuse saying that was a juvenile Varan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was what they said. It was a juvenile Varan. Which, by the way, for those of you watching, you need to go check out... I believe it's like Wikizilla or Kaiju Profiles on YouTube or whatever. Yeah. Those guys do great. You know, I've watched them a lot, and they've really given me some great brush-ups on my appearances for Godzilla. So I got to give credit for where a lot of my information comes from. You know, I'll give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
But like Varan, you know, apparently, you know, he was just a miniature, and he just chilled off in the background. He was just there. It's like, okay, so you know, and you got Manda chilling back there as well. You know, which, of course, Manda's appearance was in a different film entirely as well, with an old, like, original sci-fi, you know,
with
which
the Gotengo, or whatever it's called, the flying submarine thing.
Yeah, oh my god.
Atragon or something, I think is what it's called.
I think you might be right on that, which, surprisingly enough, I think it wasn't, like, in Final Wars they brought that back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, ironically enough, it was being attacked by a version of Manda.
Yeah. But at least Manda had a scene with Godzilla in New York in the Destroy All Monsters, which was really cool.
Which there's some behind-the-scene footage, actually, of Godzilla just wreaking havoc on Manda, just fucking him up.
Yeah, I need to find that. I want to see that.
It was deleted scene footage. Also, with that being said, on my channel, I do believe I have it in a playlist, but there's another one with Godzilla versus the Wolfman.
Yes,
Toho's Wolfman. Which I thought was, like, I found that, I was like, what? I pray to God, please don't take that down, Toho. Please don't do that. It's like on the YouTube right now, I don't know if they took it down now, but they had the Empire of Dreams docu for Star Wars, which is also on Disney Plus, so if you want to go to Disney Plus, you can watch it there, but they had it on YouTube, and I pray to
But
God
then you have to give your money to the mouse, and like, no one wants to do that.
Ha-ha! Open your wallet! Ha-ha! Gosh, Mickey, you think you let him dry enough? Ha-ha! No! Ha-ha!
So,
wait, sorry, I didn't say that.
I was also going to ask, aside from your favorite Godzilla movies, what are your favorite movies in general, or are they just the same movies, or
Oh,
what else are you
no,
into?
no. I'm big into all genres, as far as films go. I mean, but older films go. I love older gangster films, Godfather, Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York, Scarface, to name a few of those. I love The Patriot for historical film, and another good historic couple ones off that, Gettysburg, Gods of Generals. I love the Pirates franchise. I love Indiana Jones, Underworld. Let's see here, my lord, Lord of the Rings, Riddick.
Yes.
Let's see here. Let's more. Oh, Ray Harryhausen's, Clash of the Titans, Sinbad.
I really want to get into those because I haven't watched any of them fully, but they look so good.
I love them. Actually, growing up as a young kid, I actually watched The Thing from Another World that John Carpenter based his film The Thing off of, which I love The Thing. Exorcist for some horror films. Gremlins.
Yes.
And the Marvel franchise, hands down. I'm a huge fan of the Marvel franchise.
Yeah, they did a great job of that.
I'm just gonna say, for me personally, that with Marvel Endgame, my take on the DC, or not DC, sue me now, the Marvel MCU has for me personally come to a close. I'm very happy with where it has been. So if they put out more film, I'll watch it maybe here and there, but yeah. And the same thing goes with Star Wars. Now that they've pretty much come out,
God.
I was actually able to get my hands on a DVD copy of Season 7, the final season, so now I actually have all 7 seasons and the movie Clone Wars, the micro mini-series on my shelf, so I'm very, very happy with that.
Yeah. Out of the Marvel films, which is your favorite?
Oh, my lord.
I know it's a tricky question. I've already got like a set answer.
The problem is with how they did Endgame and Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
Which said it would be Infinity Wars then Endgame. Is after they did those 2 films for me, for the longest time, I was always a big fan of Iron Man. I really did enjoy the Iron Man swagger. But it was after watching Captain America Civil War, Cap really, really impressed me. And I was just like, damn, dude, I'm sorry, but during this whole damn film, I'm on your side. I'm sorry. Like, I was totally Team Cap in that film. I won't deny it. I won't hide it. But I totally went in it being a Tony fan.
Yeah.
That was the heartbreaking thing for me. Just this little thing. And we'll play on this, just as far as my nerdism. I went in that film being a huge Tony Stark supporter, like, Cap's like fucking Boy Scout's gonna get his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
And then I saw Cap's point of view and what Cap was willing to do for his friend and seeing what was going on, and I was just like, Tony, will you just chill your ass the fuck out?
Yeah.
That's where I was. And then all of a sudden we get to the very end, and just that ending climax, which causes them to fight, and you find out about with the Winter Soldier and how he connects to Tony, because I don't want to give away too many spoilers for those who haven't seen that film.
Oh, fair point.
It's just a fucking great reveal. I do not want to give that away.
Yeah.
And it leads them to fight, and then they go at it, and it's Tony and the Winter Soldier. It's Tony, Cap, and the Winter Soldier, and it's Cap and Bucky against Tony, and Tony's kicking both their fucking asses, and then he just goes to ham on them. take and oh, almost gave a spoiler away. I'm not going to say anything past there, but gets his fucking ass handed to him. But I will say this, tells Cap, and I have to say, like Shield looking at him and saying, you know, like, you don't deserve that shield. That was my father's shield. I was just like, oh my god, Tony, how fucking petty are you? How fucking petty are you, man? Come on. You damn well know that Cap almost was buried alive with that goddamn thing. That was made for him. That was for him by your father. Do not try to play that damn card on him.
And what I love that they do is that they build up both of those sides that you can kind of relate, and like, I don't know, they just build up everyone in like the whole Marvel
to
MCU
to be entirely honest, because of my love, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no worries,
guys, I'm on a slight tangent here. Going into Infinity War and Endgame, and then Tony coming back and just being in that state that he was, you know, and him just looking at him taking off his chest, his the nanite armor, slamming it in Cap's hand, and and saying, we were supposed to lose together too, and just completely losing all hope, just ripped me so much. And I was like, oh my god, Disney had a great job with portraying these characters in such a beautiful, beautiful fashion. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna deny that. And for me though, personally, it ended with those two films. To go back to your point of other films I like real fast, is I'm also a big fan of documentaries. Okay. I love documentaries as well. I'm a big fan of history. I crave learning stuff. I crave knowing history and learning about the ins and outs of also filmmaking and stuff like that. And I will say that having that knowledge going into this endeavor on YouTube, albeit the hell with my algorithm, I just post however I feel, I'm very happy to have that knowledge going in, because that has served me well.
That's really good. Yeah.
Well, also growing up before my grandmother passed away, roughly, I believe now going on 5 years, if my math serves me correct, from brain cancer, which, every time that support comes on in that ribbon, I'm wearing it. With that being said, I was just growing up, my vacations always relied on going to museums. I went to the Smithsonian, I went to Gettysburg, Valley Forge here in the U.S. as far as historical landmarks go. I went to D.C. and seen the museums there. I spent a good portion of my childhood on the boardwalk in New Jersey. I found out that I had a lot of family history in New Jersey, for instance, that my family was responsible for the first bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my family apparently was responsible for the first bar on the boardwalk, or one of the firsts. And apparently an extension of my family here was responsible in the hometown that I'm in for the first whiskey distillery some years back, I found out as well. So, I'm also a real big fan of genealogy. So I'm just a big avid fan of history in general, both personally about yourself and your family, and also about whatever genre and passion that you're in love with. And also going back to movies that I love as well, is big sci-fi, is Alien versus Predator. And
yeah. You've definitely told me a lot about that one.
Oh, I'm a huge, huge fan of AVP. I'm not a big fan of the last two entries in the franchise, though.
That's fair enough. Going on about your YouTube channel, I want to ask, how have you been finding it recently, and just how have you been finding doing YouTube, and what are your plans coming up in the near future?
My plans, that's the thing though, is my life is a mystery as far as where it's going to go next.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hide this. I've been homeless on 4 separate occasions, and every time I got out of it, I rose up slightly above, but something happened and I went back down. And to the credit, it was most of the time it was factors outside of my control, and then it was opportunities I should have jumped on or had the foresight to jump on when the time came. So we're human, we make mistakes, and I'll admit my faults where they come. But with that being said, right now in my life, I'm in a very good place. But
that's good to hear, man. Because it really sucks what you've been through.
No one hears that. Oh, well, I try to stay extremely humble about it. There's a very few people that honestly truly know my whole entire life story.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into that spiel, but
No, we're just
if I
doing a
were to go
Godzilla
into,
podcast today. Don't
no,
have to get there quite
no,
yet.
but no, but if I were to go into that number, you know, most of the time people would hear it and they would just be like, dude, your life is depressing as hell. And I'm just like, well, I'm sorry, you know. It's like how do you stay so positive? It's just I do, you know. I try to just immerse myself in the things that I love and just go on by the next day, you know. And that leading into the futures to my channel, you know, for me, life is an endless up and down wave ball game. I have no idea where I'm going to be next. My futures for my channel, more or less, is to just keep putting out videos, you know, as far as reviews and unboxings as I get them, and slowly work my way through my collection. This podcast is obviously now something new that's an extension of that. That has opened up another opportunity that we're doing.
And again,
I mean,
thanks for being on board with this. And I hope this helps give your channel a bit of a boom. Like, my channel's nowhere up there in terms of scale, so it's you know, the least that I can do.
Last I checked, I only had 73 subscribers. I'm a small fish in a big pond. I'm not going to deny or hide it.
And look, every YouTube channel has been there, and like, think about it this way: that's still 73 people who saw your videos and went, "I want more of this," and actually clicked that button. So that's pretty good, man.
Well, I'm impressed that there's been at least 73, 72 people that have at least enjoyed the little bit of work I've done. I'm surprised by how fast, and to be honest, here recently, even though I haven't posted anything in about 2 weeks, going on 3, I've just had a lot of ups and downs in my personal life, and I'm one of those people that I don't necessarily want to quit something I start, but I don't entirely feel pressured and compelled to drive myself nuts to keep it going. That's why I say to hell to my damn algorithm.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm stressing myself out over something, then whatever I'm doing is not worth doing anymore. You know, it's not. And to be entirely honest, though, all I've met while starting this is nothing but love, appreciation. I've had immense opportunity, but my YouTube channel also started over me doing the custom review for the Jungle Lord figurine by Nine Monoliths.
Yeah.
The reason being is I looked this character up, and I only found like 2 reviews on him. One was by Steven Toy's review, I do believe. I can't remember what the other one was. Yeah. But there was only like 3 videos at the time for Jungle Lord at all when I searched him. Now you go look him up, and that's going to be 5, and I guarantee you probably 2 of those are going to be my review and my unboxing, if I'm correct. If you type in Jungle Lord for Nine Monoliths, you know, you probably could easily find it by CloakingArbiter Figurine Toy Reviews. Try to say that fast. And trust me, it's taken me a minute to learn how to say that. And bravo and kudos for you to be able to say that as a mouthful.
It took some practice, but I did it.
Yeah, and for those of you even curious, because I know you asked earlier before we started the show.
Just before I asked,
I'm a huge Halo fan, obviously. The Arbiter, you know, and I know I explained this to you, but for our audience members here, guys, I'm a huge fan of the Arbiter from the Halo franchise. When he was introduced in Halo 2, I thought he was a very compelling, cool character. And the name Cloaking Arbiter, and this is the part I didn't tell you, so you might be intrigued by this, how I originally got the name entirely. Yes, it's a stem from Halo, but when I first got my Xbox Live profile online, I went through all the listings of the various gamer tags I could get, and I typed in Arbiter. Yeah. And the very first, and the 5 choice listings that popped up was Cloaking Arbiter. I'll take it. Because, well, elites, for those who know the Halo franchise, elites have a cloaking device. They can go to like a cloak predator type technique. So it was kind of appropriate and fitting, and at the time I played a shit ton of Halo. And I kept the name to this day. So for those of you who may hear and see Cloaking Arbiter and you type me up and you find me on Xbox, bravo to you for finding me, but I no offense, guys, I live a very quiet life and I keep to myself. Don't expect me accepting that friend request anytime soon. You want to make a comment on my YouTube channel, you want to make a comment on there, I will gladly, when I have the time, respond to it, but as far as my Xbox Live profile goes, just leave that alone.
You lead
please.
A quiet life unless you're on an active phone call, because...
Damn it.
So I can barely get a word in.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like your price for fame returns to your absence of privacy. There's no getting around it, so maybe I should just quit bitching while I'm ahead. It's a price I pay for putting myself in the internet spotlight.
Yeah. Hey, but it can be pretty fun doing that at times.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But with Godzilla, going back to that topic, I have found that with this franchise, and the opportunity of doing the YouTube channel around him, it opened up the door for me to meet many new people, getting anywhere between some customs done, doing this podcast, receiving some surprises from a YouTube channel, getting my hands a hold of a custom figurine done by 9 Modelism, and Tom doing some special work for me on that figurine just for me that I'm not really going to talk about too terribly much. That's just something between him and me, because he and I were in contact for when he was doing it for a good minute, and we were talking while he was making the figurine, and I got to know this guy. He lives down in Thailand, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Remarkable gentleman. He's around yours and my age. I think he might be a year or two older than me.
Oh,
maybe,
okay.
I'm not sure.
I wish I could actually get him on the podcast, because sorry to just jut in, but me and Robert here actually started talking because I am in the middle of doing a couple of custom figurine stuff things myself. Sorry for my weird
that's
phrasing,
what introduced me to you. Oh, yeah. Let's go into even first how I got introduced to you as well. Is that you were doing a Mothra project here, which for those of you listening, I'm my bad. It's kaiju larvae.
That's right. It's a kaiju larvae.
Kaiju larvae, just like Jungle Lord.
One that would fit well in the year 2019, potentially.
Yeah, it would fit along a nice NECA, 2019 scale figurine in your 2019 NECA Mothra, this kaiju larvae.
Yes.
It's not the muscle larvae. It's not muscle larvae. Oh God damn! I'm sorry about that.
Bless you, man. Bless you.
Thank you.
And I'm currently still in the middle of the sculpting process with that.
Oh my God! It looks beautiful. I envy when you get the paint. I envy when you get the paint scheme on it. For those of you wondering what's in my cup this evening, it's certainly not coffee, and it's certainly not water.
I just got some water here, though.
Now, this cup has coffee in it. That's just to keep me awake.
Yeah, it's really early in the morning where you are, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 7 in the morning, and I had a very wild evening last night as of this podcast here, and I'm still currently curing the hair of the dog that bit me. So I'm having another drink, but Boba's my choice of mug here. So Boba's a badass and keeps going, so here I am, keep going.
There you go. As for me, it's like probably around like 1 a.m. or something, who knows.
Well, as of me right now, the time is 10:52. What is the running time on this one right now as of here?
It's 12:52 on my end. We started at about 11:40, so we're coming pretty close to what should be about the end. Aiming to get this to be like an hour and a half-ish.
Oh, roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly. For those of you wondering, we're trying to shoot for around an hour and a half-ish, and just keep the conversations alive, and essentially just talk about everything, just crazy nerd fun in general. Give a few
Exactly.
recommendations to you guys for just some overall fun things to watch. As per recommendation, like I said, go check out those documentaries.
Yeah.
Go
If
absolutely.
If I can find them, I'll link them down below again. I'll have all the info in my description section. I try to keep my video descriptions very full of info for you guys. I did want to touch on like your area and like the Godzilla fandom there, because that's one of the things that I find really interesting.
That is an extremely damn good question. I'm glad you brought that up. My fandom in my area, my hometown, lies to me and one other person. My
Lovely.
buddy Mike. I will say, trying to find fans who are really avid fans of Godzilla has more stemmed to me being on online, on Facebook, and in Godzilla groups, essentially. Excuse me. My buddy Mike, he and I are just the only two that have honestly found anyone that's real big avid Godzilla fans. I mean, he's got a couple who friends of his own that do like Godzilla, and they do enjoy the films, but they're not avid collectors of the films or the figurines like I am. And also, real fast, quick tangent.
Okay.
If any one of you are willing to spend a college loan on buying figurines, you can do so and spend half of that on actually completing your Godzilla DVD collection. My substandard for everyone, if you're a Godzilla fan, you just need to at least own the complete Showa, Heisei, and Millennium franchise. You can forgive everything else on digital as far as I'm concerned, but at least complete those major films. I can forgive the Hanna-Barbera. I will not forgive the Zilla cartoon, though. You have to have that one.
I'm missing that, but I have like everything else on DVD.
I thought you ordered that, by the way.
I might have actually ordered some Kong things after talking to you last time. I actually did a little video about a little box set that I ordered that I just found online of the 2005 Peter Jackson King Kong, like the behind the scenes video diaries. There's a really lovely box set of that I got recently for next to nothing, which is really interesting to watch again.
Oh wow, I'm completely I'm actually impressed. I would love to have that. Another thing I love to have my hands on is this it's a figurine set in the 1933. I think it was done by McFarlane Toys maybe. But it's got the old it's got the T-Rex and Kong from the 1933 version of the film. Oh, and for those of you who do end up watching and seeing the video portion of this, the figurine next to me here, this is the NECA Godzilla 62 and the Bandai 1933-1962 King Kong. On my little rotating table here.
I love how that's just spinning in the background there. It's a fantastic little display piece.
Oh, thank you. That's my goal. Because, like I said, for me, Kong holds a special place in my heart because he was my introduction to Godzilla as an overall kaiju franchise. I mean, I literally was watching Kong next to my dinosaur stuff, and what it made even better is there were dinosaurs in King Kong.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Hand in hand, it just was so damn good for me. And growing up, when I found out that my grandmother brought home King Kong versus Godzilla, I was like, they did what?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, as a child, I'd seen the look of the Kong. I know the differences, but as a child, and even now, I forgive it because, you got to scale Kong up to fight Godzilla. So I can forgive some minor ambiguities, and as a child, I really didn't care how badly the Kong looked. It was Kong fighting Godzilla.
Yeah.
That was cool enough for me.
Which is really weird, because Subaraya, the special effects dude who worked on the film, freaking loved the original King Kong. So I don't know why he let that design slide.
I kind of, but the biggest reason is they were mitigated to suits, so it's kind of hard to pull off that look that they did with that, with the stop motion animation with what they were doing. Plus, also you got to take in mind that when Subaraya was going to be doing that film, he looked into doing a stop motion Kong. He looked into doing it like the 1933. He found out it would have taken him, if I have it correct, 3 years to complete the film.
I didn't hear that about that film, but I definitely had that about the original Gojira.
Yeah. Gojira was the same way. I think either was going to be 3 years to complete Gojira, and
Yeah,
King Kong versus Godzilla would have taken around like a year or something to do, but still would have been very costly.
definitely.
And they already, and if my history serves me correct, they already blew their budget on getting the rights to Kong anyway for this film.
I bet.
Which, if you adjust for inflation, again, if my history serves me correct, it is still, I believe, one of the top 2 successful Toho films to date.
It is.
And but I do believe Shin is the first now.
Probably. That's a very popular film, and I would say
Shin was a hit. It was a
definitely
hit
good
in Japan.
reason.
They loved it.
But
They absolutely loved it.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, and also, real fast, for those of you who do see my modal display here, I don't know if you may know this, but the octopus here, that is this brand, I forget what it's called, SCHLEICH, Galoosh or whatever. But here in Ohio, it's a children's toy brand that does like farm animals and dinosaurs and stuff like that, but they're really detailed. I wanted an octopus as an montage from King Kong versus Godzilla, so I got this octopus that looked really detailed, and it was actually pretty spot on with the coloring of the film, in my opinion. And I got a can of just clear coat spray, and I went to town all over it to give it this watery, wet effect. And he sits down there next to him, and the building that's behind Kong, for those who do see it, kind of, I guess, in this, that actually comes from the, I have the Robotech Rodin,
I got that one
awesome.
too. It's a great figure.
Oh, I love the Robotech Rodin. And what really bothered me, man, is I was looking so hard for a Showa era. I have the Bandai Vinyl Final Wars Rodin, I do believe it is, down here on my bottom shelf on this one here. But for me personally, my favorite eras in Godzilla is mainly the Heisei era, but there are a few Showa era characters in general that really grab my heart. Manda, which
I really want you to do a review of this figure, by the way.
Oh my god.
So that's the YMSF? Am I saying that right, Manda?
Yes, you are. That is their Manda. And when I saw the coloring of it initially in the advertisement on eBay when I got him, I was like, oh my god, he looks a little too blue, but it's the only Manda I could find. And I got him, and oh my god, his coloring is on par. And I would honestly say that his mouth, I mean, you could argue all you want for those of you who have some X Plus figurines, but his mouth rivals your X Plus.
He looks like it's really blurry on screen right now, but I've seen better images and they look fantastic.
Oh my lord, if you were to get your hands on this figurine and actually see him in person, his mouth sculpt and his head sculpt is beautifully detailed. My buddy Mike has a couple X Pluses, and having the opportunity to see those and seeing, like, for instance, I've also had the opportunity to see the 2001, Godzilla, Mothra,
GMK,
Ghidorah, Final Wars of All Tech. I saw an X Plus of that figurine, like they're, PVC, I guess is what it's made out of, because I know it's not really necessarily vinyl, I'm sure. I saw that thing
PVC is vinyl. They're just like a hot vinyl.
Well, sue me then. I seen that, and I was blown away by the mouth sculpt. I get this Manda in my hands, and I'm like, holy shit, you rival X Plus in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I've got a GMK X Plus, the Yuji Sakai variant, and it is gorgeous.
For me personally, I now have a figurine at least of every major retailer for Godzilla, at least as far as the 6-inch line goes. I got a Robotech, I have an SH, the Bandai Vinyl, the YSMF,
and
I have the Rainido Kong. I got the Jack Link specifics, the Walmart Godzillas in 2019.
And the Playmates.
Playmates. I also got some Trendmasters as well, some Trendmasters. And I do actually have some bootlegs as well. So I have a combination, literally, of like every major reputer of like figurine, bootlegs, custom. Like my collection is a menagerie, and also I am very proud of this guy.
Let's see. Oh yes. That one's hard to
God,
get.
I was very proud of getting his ass.
Jet
The Jet
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Da, 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 da,
Jet
da.
Jaguar. Oh yeah, and
He
I
needs
also
to
got
come
by
back
the.
in a movie, I swear.
Oh my God, I don't know how you would make that work, but I guess.
It would make
The
me
other thing I
very
got,
happy no matter how it was made to work.
well, I also got my hands by the same company who did the Manda, the YSMF. God damn, they're a mouthful to pronounce.
Yeah.
I have a 1967 Son of Godzilla with a little Manila with him.
Yeah.
I have that.
Thank you for saying Manila, by the way, because for whatever reason, I cringe whenever people say Minya.
Yeah,
I don't know
I've heard
why.
it both ways. Minya, Manila. Oh, what was the other name? Oh God, there was another pronunciation. There's like 3 or 4.
Probably call him Minra or something in Japanese.
Minya, Manila. See, for me though, I can understand why people call him Minya because in Godzilla's Revenge he was called Minya.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, that's what I was introduced to him. But going on, I discovered the proper pronunciation so far on all accounts I've seen has been Manila.
Yeah.
Which I guess sounds a bit more appropriate. I mean, it does sound a little more appropriate.
I don't know why. I think I really haven't watched Godzilla's Revenge in so long. I've only really been exposed to him being Manila, so whenever I hear Minya, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know why. It's totally arbitrary, to be honest.
I also have my hands on the Raimundo Kong that's slightly here above my head with little Darrow. I absolutely love that. That thing is pretty cool right there, just chilling. Holding Anne. By the way, I am pleased to say that right now there is a wire around his wrist, but he straight up is being held there on his own volition.
Oh, is he?
Entirely, yes.
So
the little...
Is that the Mezco figure?
Yes, that is. And
I've got a bootleg of him on the way. I'm really curious to see how it stacks up.
Well, I hope your bootleg has much better. I mean, because my bootleg, for this leg here, it actually broke.
Really?
I should have used an air dryer for the joints. I kind of got ahead of myself, but the joint in the knee broke. I super glued it back in, so it was good. But a friend of mine had a bunch of these metal strips from razor blades, essentially, like old school razor blades, and he literally had a box full of them. He didn't have the razor blades. He just, he's one of those guys that like to use and use arts and crafts stuff, and he got to the hands a whole shoebox of them. And I was like, hey, can I get a few of these? He's like, take a handful. I took a handful of them, and that's what I'm using for his stand. He does have a wire around his wrist here, but the little cufflinks here that where this little chain is, I don't know how well you can see that with the blurb.
I can see it. Yeah, it's coming out okay.
Yeah. His little cufflinks, the one up here covers that wire around his wrist, so it hides my insurance policy. But he, as of right now, with his hand, he's completely holding himself there. There is no tension on that wire yet.
That's very impressive. Nice.
Going back to another thing I was talking about with museums and stuff like that growing up, I really, really enjoyed trying to set my displays to look like you're looking at a toy museum, essentially. So that was kind of my idea. And though my collection is starting to get slightly cluttered, I still am trying to get it presented in a nice museum fashion. I actually have pre-ordered right now. I do have the new NECA Kong that's out that we recently talked about.
Yeah.
That's dropped. I actually went ahead and pre-ordered that. I'll go ahead and set this back down.
All right.
Relax.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I wish it was more accurate to the 33 Kong, because we can't really get any decent figures that are really accurate to that one these days.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. You explain.
There's, from the history I've dug in, is that the damn notifications, the rights issues for Kong after RKO, when it's course, the rights for Kong has been in air. If I have it correct, Universal holds majority of the rights over, the big ape. But as far as someone actually calling him King Kong, that's why our new film is called Kong Skull Island. Because Warner Brother and Legendary Pictures could not obtain the rights to call him King Kong.
Yeah.
They just couldn't do it. So that's how they got around that rights issue. And another thing also, like, that makes this character, my Bandai, vinyl Kong here so expensive, is because on the bottom of his foot, back in 1993 when they put this guy out, which was the year before I was born, so this guy's a year older than I am.
Oh, yeah.
This figurine actually has King Kong engraved on his foot, which was a big no-no on this figurine from what I've seen, and was kind of the reason why this character went into hiatus. It's also the reason why the Raimundo Kong that I have here in my hand, and for those of you who maybe see it real fast, he is literally like 2 inches shorter than the Bandai.
Yeah.
He's very small, and he's completely different sculpt in and of himself. So, and it doesn't have King Kong on it. It just says 2007 Raimundo Toys, TYRONE, Trano KK, made in China. So, yeah, he doesn't have Kong written anywhere on him. But he does, and that's why I wanted him. And also a lot of other collectors would cringe at this, but he did have a tag. I took the tag off. I put it on my wall with a tag wall with the other Bandai tags I have, and I also do some custom work on my figurines as well. Like I've done some exquisite custom work on my Burning Godzilla that I'm very proud of, where I did the spines. And since for me, I don't intend on selling my figurines, so I like to improve them. My Bandai Kong, for anyone who may see it in later reviews here, I've done custom work on his teeth and his eyes, so he actually has pupils. And his teeth are actually colored properly so you can see them more definitively. So that's the only custom work I'm doing to him, but I'm not going to lie, I spent around $220 on that figurine. There's got people with like, you spent $220 figurine and you took the tag off and you customized it, are you nuts? Well, yeah, it's mine. I paid for it. I'm keeping it. I want to do what makes me happy with it.
That's very true. You bought it yourself, so it is yours to do what you want with. Personally, though, I'm one of those people who, even though I would consider myself competent at like painting and that aspect of things, I wouldn't even touch like the cheapest Bandai vinyl just because I think of it as a collectible and I just go crazy on bootlegs. But yeah,
I've done custom work to 1, 2, 3, 4 of my Bandai vinyls so far. On my Bandai vinyls, which is my 2002 54, I believe it's maybe 04 or 02 Destroyer. I colored his bikes in, and my Space Godzilla. So, and my Burning Godzilla as well, the one from there, which also came out with the same wave as 02 54.
Yeah. Because
my biggest issue was with that is I didn't like the fact that the tail wasn't colored in all the way red down. I didn't like it.
No,
and the same thing goes.
A lot of Bandai figures I find have really minimal paintwork, especially these days, which is such a shame because I've seen some from the past that really went all out, but I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at the Jet Jaguar figurine that I have.
Yeah, that one's all color. Anyway, dude, we are touching on like
yes, we are.
The time, so I just wanted to kind of close off on the point before a tangent about like the fandom in your area and stuff like that. Because in my area, there's like nobody. The next person I know that's actually a Godzilla fan is like in the next town over, and that's only because I run like the Godzilla Australian fans group on Facebook. So like I just wanted, that's why I'm bringing this question up, because from my experience online as a Godzilla fan, America is like short of Japan, and I don't even really know what it's like there because I don't speak Japanese all too good. Speak a teeny bit, but pretty much none. But from what I know in the Western world, the fandom is very centered in the US. So I'm really curious. That's why I'm really curious about that.
For me, like I said, because of my personal life experience, I've only been mitigated to my one friend in social media.
Yeah.
But I will say that there is a more profound impact of Godzilla as far as a fandom goes here in the U.S. next to Japan because of just how closely related the creature came about being because of the situation, with the atom bomb, and
being related to like movies from the US, like Kong and the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, right, Harryhausen, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which I recently, about 2 weeks ago, actually bought that film. That and 20 Million Miles from Earth, which I felt so bad for that creature.
Yeah, that's one of the few Harryhausen films I have watched, and I loved it. Definitely very sad for that creature.
I actually bought the colorized version.
Really?
Actually, yeah, I decided to buy the colorized version of it, not the black and white. I figured if I really wanted to watch black and white, because the way I see it, if there's a black and white film that's offered to me in color that I can get, I'm going to buy that version instead. Because if I really want to watch black and white, I'll just turn it on my TV. I mean, it worked. So. Just turn down the coloring to black and white. Bam.
Yeah, fair enough.
Black and white TV. But I guess with it coming on that time, do you want to call it closing around here?
Yeah, I guess so. So first of all, I want to say super big thank you for coming on this podcast. I hope the audience here enjoyed talking or listening to us talk, rather. And yeah, I hope to have you back on some other time.
Absolutely. I absolutely look forward to doing it. For those of you who are curious, like I said, I run the channel CloakingArbiter Figurine Toy Reviews. We'll have links down below for you where you can find me. So you can go there, check me out, and give me some constructive criticism, I guess.
So yeah, definitely check out his channel. He's a rising star in the YouTube Godzilla community. I hope that I can do more of these podcasts. I have talked to a couple of other people who seem fairly interested in coming on, so we'll see how that pans out. But I'll definitely have Robert back on very soon. So yeah, thanks, man. Peace out.
Thank you.
Any final words to close this video off?
No, I have pretty much promoted my channel. For all of you, though, I will say in this trying time, because of the current situation that we face here, I hope everyone who listens to this can find some pleasure and some entertainment in these trying times. So that's about as much as I can say as on a closing statement.
So thank you again to Robert over here. Thanks all the other viewers for watching. Peace out. May all your vinyl be irradiated vinyl. Over and out. Bye.
Peace.